go back to, I'm going to go back to the orthographic side view. So we've got and these are quite straightforward. We're going to free animate the tail when it goes over as well. So what happens to the tail when it makes the jump? Well, it's very similar. What happens is the tail is, we'll do this free animation style as opposed to cutting and pasting. The tail after the jump is like, let's say here. So the tail's on the ground. First of all, I'm going to key all these so the tail's on, because I don't want to, because remember the whole thing is I'm going to key these while it's on the ground. The last frame it's on the ground, so I don't end up. So then when it actually, it's maybe on the ground here. I'll get rid of this cut. I'll do it here. So they're still kind of on the ground there, or most of them are. And then when it goes up here, I'm going to start animating this a little bit. So what's going to happen is this is going to bend down a little bit. This will bend down a tad. This will go down a little bit more. And you know, this might go down, yeah. And then we'll go up to maybe another few frames. And then, yeah, you imagine this is going to bend down even further. We want to get a nice kind of arch in this. Maybe I'll take this up a wee bit. It feels a little bit too. I want to get a nice kind of loop. You can really look at the shapes when you're doing it this way, which is one of the nice things. So you got bang, and so it's up in the air, yeah, up here. Yeah, I got this here up in the air, so up it goes, and you might have some movement here. I mean, you might have some kind of movement. It might curl around a bit more. I mean, it's heading forward, so there won't be too much of this. And then you've got the drop. Now, at a certain point in the drop, if I just highlight these, you got to think, at what point does this tail start coming back up again? At what point do they start to come back? And maybe it's when it starts to drop down, you're going to see a change. You know, you're going to see this coming up. Actually, but another thing I forgot to add. Always animate to the camera. So I want to see the tail making a change here. I actually really want to see it making a change. So that's an important point. See, I was busy looking at this. I should look at this too. I don't want to see the tail stuck down like this. So I want to see some changes here. So I'm going to bring this forward. Really, it's going to be, and I want the tail to be actually extended backwards by the time it's over the wall. Let's see, so we've got a real sense of this thing diving down. You know, so this is let's pull it this way. So let's see if this works. So that bam, and then you get to boom. Yeah, so you get the sense of it kind of heading over the top and kind of bottling over the front, yeah. And I haven't really rotated it at all. I mean, I could even rotate this. So if we look at this and I take the grid off, you know, you have the up it goes, and over the top, yeah. I mean, yeah, listen, there were lots of areas where this could be improved. It feels a little bit, it still feels like it could have a little bit more force as it goes over the top. But you know, these are finessing things, and you know, when you come to do yours, you can really try and get this to look as nice as you possibly can. It is an exercise that you can get a lot of mileage out of if you really. Another thing I probably would do, I'll show you, is I'd probably take this off a straight path. It's going in a straight path just now. I'm going to go to the perspective view to show what I'm talking about. This is, if I bring up the NURBS curves, is going in a straight path. So I'll just highlight this and go to the, I'm in modeling. I'll go to animation, visualize, create editable motion trail. and I'll make sure that show motion trails is on, just so you can see. So presently this is going dead straight. Actually, just one thing about the motion trails. Visualize, edit motion trail. It's got interesting. Show frame numbers is not selected yet. It's showing them for some strange reason. Anyway, I don't know. Maya's weird. Anyway, so you've got this. Now, what I might do is I don't want this to go completely straight. So what I do is I might have this starting. I'm going to bring up my camera view here so you can see what I'm talking about. I maybe want this starting maybe over here a little bit. So I'm going to drag this. Now remember, I have no, and I'm going to make the motion trail again so we can see it updated. Visualize. Oh, it's not doing it for some reason. So, oh, it has done it, but it hasn't done it. So what I do is, the reason it hasn't done it is that when I baked it out, I baked out every channel, including the X. Even though there's no animation on the X, there's animation on the Y and on the Z. There's no animation on this, on the X translation. But it just bakes out lots of keys on the 0 line, which is not what I want. But you can just get rid of those, you know, they're not doing anything. And then, of course, my little creature animation changes. Now, I know it, I want it at frame 90. I want it to stop where it stops, so I can press S there. I think it's 98, and then I don't want it traveling any further in the, so this can be a straight line. So you know, basically the curve is just until it stops here. Do you understand? So at frame 98 is where in my case I've made it stop, and when it jumps over the wall it just jumps over. But I can then take this and I can move this. Let's see what this looks like. What is it? Is it here? Yeah, it's more. I can pull this over even further. I can just do it in the graph editor. Maybe have it like this. Now the problem with this so far is that the ball is, I'm going to take this motion trail off because look at the ball. It's not actually, it needs to orientate itself to the actual direction. I'll show you in the orthographic view, the top. The ball has to be, and I'll bring up that motion trail again. The ball has to be orientated in that direction. So what I would then do is go to the rotate Y, yeah, the rotate Y, and I can see this actually. This got something, when I bake this out, something weird's happened. I'm just going to make these, pull these keys back. Don't know what's going on there. Sometimes Maya does strange things, flips things, etc., etc. Anyway, so I've got my rotate Y. I think what I might try and do is I can take this rotation and I can just, wait a minute. I think I'm touching the wrong one. Here it is. Rotate Y. That's, oh, there you know, it's the right one. I'm just going to try and rotate this slightly. You see what's happening? I'm rotating the whole thing, the whole body, so I'm not getting rid of all those small rotations. I'm just rotating it around so it's kind of facing the curve a little bit more, so it's kind of face on. So now you look at it, see the tail should lie along the curve. The tail goes along, and then I can get it there, yeah, and then yeah, so it just makes it a little bit better. Yeah, so I've got this. So now, if I look at this creature should bounce like this, which feels a little bit more naturalistic, yeah. And that, I take the curves off, and you know, if I was to render this with Arnold, obviously, actually, if you render an Arnold, I know that you get these horrible watermarks and your computers might crash. You always need to create lights. I normally use directional light, which kind of mimics direct sunlight if I'm going to do something, and then and also the intensity in Arnold is always very low, so you you normally have to knock this up. But you know, it gives you, oops, gives you a nice render actually. But I forgot. I needed to make my my floor visible, and yeah, you get a nice look to it if you want to do it that way. But that, in essence, if I was to render a Play Blast, I'll see what the settings are for this. See, it's an AVI render settings. That, in essence, is the jump over the wall, and yeah. And you know, you can finesse this and make this look as nice as you want to. So give it a go and post your stuff up on Facebook or on SyncSketch, and we can discuss areas that you might want to make it better, or things that you do to it. Okay.